Yeah, I know. I'm like a day short and $1 late. But I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. As for me, I actually enjoyed this one a lot. Got to spend it in warm weather, so that was pretty cool. Anyways, today's video took me a little while to put together for many reasons. Number one, when I got this optic, I didn't have a gun to mount it on. Not that I didn't have a gun, I had two guns that I could have mounted it on, but I was in a little bit of a pickle, if you would. One, I was still waiting on parts for it. This other one, I just didn't have a plate to mount this optic on. Reason number two is I tend to review stuff that I buy myself. I rarely get free stuff on the channel, so it was a little challenging for me to go through this process. And number three, the return on investment, meaning my time filming this, testing and editing and, you know, putting the whole package together to deliver to you guys. Typically with optics, it's kind of hard for me to just focus on those. I would rather do a review where firearm is involved and then I happen to talk about the optic. Kind of like what I did with the Hellcat Pro, which you can check out over here. Cyelee was not under my radar, and I believe the same was true for me from their standpoint. So a friend of mine referred me and they reached out. They sent me this optic. So going into it, I didn't know what to expect. They just, you know, no exchange of money, no requests for favors or anything like that. They have no say in this, and they didn't give me a deadline, so this is why I'm doing it right now after I came back from my Christmas vacation. So now my number 4 reason why this took me a while is because I had to find a way to get this point across. So this is why I have all these things laid on the table. You see this? You probably have one of these at your home, you know, if a significant other is into decorating and the Christmas spirits and all that stuff, they probably got some of these laying around. Now, fun fact about this, can you guess where it's made? It's right there. Okay, let's take a look at this. Looks all pretty and everything. Let's get married. Gotta love this. Handcrafted and designed in the US of A. Then you look over here, almost like a disclaimer. Yes, but not really. Let's move on. Come on, man. You gotta be joyful. And I hope this does not ruin it for you, because bam. Right there. What else? I mean, should I keep going? I like it, love it, whatever. If you read carefully, you'll see stuff you can't handle. And I can assure you, my wife and I never been to China. All right? With that out of the way, let's get into this video. All right, so when Cyelee sent this optic, or Cyelee, when they sent this optic, I didn't know what to expect, to be quite frank with you. The packaging itself, you know, they have all the details. I don't have them off the top of my head, so I'll probably flash them on the screen or put some B-rolls up so you guys can see it. The two things that really jumped to my eyes, number one was the claim that this was geared toward people with astigmatism, and number two, that it was submersion proof or something in those lines. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, game on. Let's find out. But because I was dealing with the fact that I had 2 firearms and not knowing which one to put this on, with this one it was going to be pretty straightforward because it's an RMR cut. I could mount it directly on here, but the problem is I only had the slide at the time and the FCU. This was a no-go. And with my P10F, I had everything but the plates. And speaking of plates, my goodness, this was a struggle. I don't know if anyone has tried to purchase a P10 plate for RMRs as of late, but they're very hard to find. And the only ones that are available or always available are the ones from CNH. But for some reason, you know, with the reputation that they've built, their P10C plates for RMRs has a lot of mixed reviews.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be
Any of those major CZ websites, for whatever reason, they were out of stock. The only way to get some was to get it shipped from overseas, and I didn't have the time nor the patience for it. And I saw that A&R was making them, but they didn't have it in stock. Signed up for the email. Once they had it in stock, they sent me a notification. I was able to get my hands on this. It's pretty good, well built, very solid. Put it on P10F and give it a go. But before I even got to that part, I was like, okay, they mentioned that this is submersion proof, so why not start with waterboarding the optic? I dunked it in this little container that my wife uses for her makeup. Whatever, don't tell her. Put some water in there, dunk the optic just to see if it could even hold up to it. Again, my expectations for this optic, I hate to say it, were very low. Just because, you know, it's no secret. There's probably some factory in China that's building all of these stuff and just changing specs here and there based on whoever is placing the order. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but this is something that's really annoying me about this. I don't have a problem with optics made in China. This very brand today sits on $6,000, $7,000 handguns, okay? My real gripe is when companies charge, local companies or US companies or businesses or whatever, charge 3 to 5 times the price of a product that they didn't even make themselves. Anyways, you make your money or whatever, but I'll take my money elsewhere when I have the option to do so. Cyelee is doing their own thing. I honestly like what they're doing and the price range or whatever. Let me get off my soapbox here. Back to this optic. Dunked it in the water. It held up pretty fine after a minute. Took it out, mounted it on the P10C as you can see right there. Everything went well, pretty smooth. I like the screws, they're quality, and you know, they have markings on the bag so you know what you're using. They also claim that their optic was geared towards people with astigmatism issues or problems. I will say, I think the trick that they used to be able to pull this off was just to make the optic a little bigger than what you get with a 507C from Holosun, for instance, or any other brands that kind of use a reticle of that same size of 32 MOA. I'm forgetting which size this is, but it's significantly bigger, which makes it a little, I'm not gonna say sharper, it's less fuzzier than the Holosun one. I gotta give him that. But again, I'm not much of a reticle type guy. I like a simple dot and I'm good to go. But I gotta say, it looks cleaner, especially with my right eye. It looks cleaner and crisper than the Holosun. So thumbs up on that. Now, the real test. Took it to the range. Again, I wasn't gonna do like torture test or anything like that, or try to use it outside of the normal, like my everyday use of my firearms. I don't torture test them or anything like that. I just use them until they break and need some fixing or some kind of TLC. Same idea with this one. Took it to the range, went with my wife. I wanted to get her opinion on it as well. I didn't want to be just the only one shooting this, because the way I see this, because of the price range, because of what it is and how it's set up, I thought it'd be easier for a new shooter to use, or someone that's new to shooting or new to using red dot to use, because you got that big old ring there and kind of helps you acquire your targets a lot faster. So I zeroed in the firearm, as you can see right there. Took me a couple of adjustments. Windage was good. It was just elevation. I kept hitting a little low, and I think I zeroed it at like 10 yards and just kept driving the dot up or down so that the bullets and the line of sight.
You know the thing.
Anyway, so I finally got that dialed in and went to town. Now, I ran into a few issues, not with the dots, but the P10F. I was having some failures to feed with this thing and some failures to lock back from time to time. So went through that a little bit while testing this red dot. But yesterday I took it again to the range and it seems to be fine. Cleaned up the feeding ramp and it locked back every time on the last round. But while testing the Cyelee, this was acting silly. Got a few shots up, and then I let my wife shoot, as you can see right there. She likes it. She liked the dot, and then I asked for a feedback, which really caught me off guard. Now I was switching back between my P10C, which has the Swamp Fox. What is it? I don't even have it here, so I can't show you. But it has a Swamp Fox, I believe, Justice on it, so it's just a single dot. I was switching between that and this one just to see which one is easier for her to use and then get her feedback. I was expecting to hear her say that this is easier in terms of finding the dot, because it's, you know, there's a learning curve. She's coming along, but to my surprise, she actually thinks that this is a little too busy and distracting for her compared to just having to look for a dot. She's got this big old ring with a dot in the circle. She thought it was a little overwhelming, but then again, you know, training could overcome that, right? YouTube, training overcomes everything. I was like, wow. Let me add that to the list of the rare things we have in common, because I never used the ring on my 507C. Let me see if I can get that up here. So that is the ring right there. I never really used that at all, to be honest with you. First of all, because it's a little too fuzzy for me, too busy, but then it's also giving me too much information, more than what I need. I'm trying my best to nail this, and it is not easy at all. You can see the difference in size there. Funny thing was, she seemed to be more accurate with this than the actual dot, but her experience just seeing through this optic was the opposite. And I even brought it up to her. I was like, okay, you do realize that your grouping was a little tighter while using this over just a single dot. Maybe it's the gun tool played a factor. I try to keep it as close as possible, you know, same platform, just bigger size, P10C, P10F. But anyways, she said what she said, and that's it. First impression, it's decent. I mean, you see videos on YouTube about them. I like the fact that they do not claim for it to be a duty optic, which is cool. So I wouldn't recommend carrying this or doing anything like that. But if you will, I would say vet it. Shoot with it, train with it, whatever it is that you do to, you know, to stay ready, use it and see how it fares. If it does well, pretty well for you, well, go for it. I like to see optics like these come into the market for one reason and one reason only. Usually when the technology is brand new, it's very expensive, but then when it becomes more popular and more affordable and accessible, that's when you have different companies, you know, throwing their hats in the ring and giving it a go. So I can only be excited about stuff like that, because I'm thinking, okay, if the little guys can do that, then, you know, can you imagine what the big guys are doing? I like to see things go forward. Back then you had to pay a premium to have a backup camera on your car. Today, because of laws and regulations, but also because of accessibility to the tech, you pretty much get them on every cars now. Doesn't even have to be a high-end or fully spec'd out car. You get that. Same thing with cell phones. Even the cheapest cell phone today now has a camera on the back. You know, I'm this old, you know, where like this was a cell phone. So that's always good. It pushes things forward and things get better overall, right? When the little guys can punch up. And also, because it's YouTube, I have to say this. This is a sample size of one, all right? You may have a different experience than I'm having with this, but so far, so good. Actually, yeah, it's decent. If you're new to firearms or new to red dots or on the fence or whatever, these entry-level red dots are actually becoming pretty decent. So if you don't want to shell out the $300, $400, $500 for something that you may not even like at the end, you can start on a budget, and we have plenty of options. If you are thinking of taking it to the next step where you want to carry it and stuff like that, I would say get a reputable brand or go with a company that has a long track record that you can lean on and know that this can withstand some abuse and I can trust this with my life. As for this, for training, plinking at the range, whatever. It's just fine. Oh yeah, one more thing. This is just like a personal gripe type thing, maybe two. That selective rage about stuff that are made in China. If you have a problem with that, you may want to go through some of these stuff you have laying around your house. That's number one. Oh yeah, number two, your girl's eyelashes may have to go, her nails, most of her bags and shoes, and probably her hair too. No, wait. Those come from India, don't they? Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. If you're new here, you know what to do. If you find this video, you know how to use YouTube, you know how YouTube works. I don't have to walk you through all that. But if you insist, I will remind you to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the Cyelee, if you own one, or if you've owned one for a while. Is it working for you? Any issues so far? Nothing? Everything good? All good? Shout out to my friend for making this possible, and shout out to Cyelee for sending this over. Y'all be good. Take care. I'm out.